I finally finished Gravity Rush 2, and I'm not as disoriented as the first time I played GR Remastered. Most of the time, at least. A lot of things happened in this game, so I won't be able to cover everything, but I will talk about the stuff that stood out for me. The second entry to Gravity Rush takes place after the events of Gravity Rush the Animation, a short anime prequel to GR2. Kat, along with her friend Sid, is separated from her waifu Raven after being sucked into a gravity storm. When they wake up, they're discovered by some floating boat people who mine gravity ore for gems. Dusty, Kat's little companion who is the source of her gravity powers, is also nowhere to be found, which definitely fueled their helplessness. Those boat people then take them back to their village called Banga Settlement, where the leader Lisa makes them work in various mining sites to make ends meet, with different traders like Vogo-sun. Despite being slow, the first 2 to 3 hours in-game is spent on setting up events and introducing some of the supporting characters. And just like GR1, the story in this 2017 game once again has minimal cutscenes, instead relying on comic book style panels to tell the story. I can see a noticeable improvement with the art style's consistency this time around, specifically in the comics. But the biggest and most important one is Kat's portraits. She looks so much cuter. I'm not going into technicalities, but I can see the benefit of Gravity Rush 2 going from portable to console. The maps in the sequel are densely populated with NPCs and assets. The whole game looks great even with a budget that's probably more modest compared to other AAA PS4 titles. One of the things that I complained about in the first game was how empty the areas were to explore. As impressive as it was for the PS Vita to run Gravity Rush, making the world as detailed as the one in Gravity Rush 2 would have required extra power. The gameplay itself isn't drastically different from the first, but it does have a lot of improvements and additions. The controls feel better now, so flying is even more satisfying. Oh, and Kat doesn't really flail around anymore. She's way more experienced with gravity shifting now, that's for sure. Her hair physics are still as wild as ever though. Just like the first game, Kat has a variety of attacks. But the move that you'll use the most is definitely Gravity Kick. You basically keep kicking an enemy weak spot until it breaks. Other than that, hand-to-hand combat is an option. A new addition to GR2 is the ability to switch into 2 different shifting styles, and they definitely spice things up for Kat's combat and gravity skills. Lunar's style makes Kat lightweight, allowing her to spring off the ground. Her usual gravity kick makes her teleport to enemies instead. Jupiter's style allows Kat to deliver strong, heavy blows. This one was my personal favorite. It was fun charging her gravity kicks and hurling a huge chunk of debris at enemies. She also has special attacks such as Micro Black Hole and Gravity Typhoon. I didn't really use much of those because I kept abusing the Stasis Field, which allowed Kat to pick things up and throw them towards enemies. Seriously, it'll only take 1 to 3 hits. I thought throwing was OP in GR1, but it's way more effective here. Kat's range is bigger and picking up items is easier. I don't recommend completely relying on this though, because you might have a hard time in sections where there aren't much objects at your disposal. Before I move on to the upgrades, I definitely wasn't expecting the game's menu to look like that. I remember opening it for the first time and being greeted by this explosion of colors. Eye-catching menu aside, gems are used to upgrade Kat's powers. Apart from earning them by completing challenges, you can also collect them from various areas in the game. Another way to power up Kat is through the use of talismans, which are earned from mining and as a mission reward. You can only hold up to 3, but you can mix and match them to your liking, giving Kat some of those buffs. The blandest part of the game for me was any section that required Kat to go mining. So naturally, I avoided any of the game's optional mining site missions. From what I understand, each site has its own ore quality and some gravitational anomaly, a boss that you need to defeat if you want to earn a talisman. I don't really know much apart from that. Challenge missions are similar to GR1, with gems being a reward depending on how well you ranked on the scoreboard. You can also collect talismans if you earn a gold medal, but that's all I know. In my past video on the original Gravity Rush, I thought it was a shame that there were only 3 DLC side missions in the entire game. I'm so glad this sequel has way more, and they're actually in the main game. I found the side content in the early episodes pretty entertaining. It's great how it serves to give character development to the game's cast. It helps a lot with the world building of the game, and it's cool how you can encounter some characters later on. While there are about 50 side missions in total, a major drawback is how much of a mixed bag they are. They're either good, okay, or the memorable ones were pretty darn funny though. Like the one where Cat had to deliver something fragile and Raven just comes out of nowhere like a crazy addict. Or the one where you have to dress up and prevent that annoying guy from drinking in different bars. My worst side mission? The one where you have to help this dog look for his frisbee, like holy crap. Who thought this was a good idea? This dog! I can't help but notice how Gravity Rush 2 is quite loud when it comes to the issues between social classes. Not just in the story and the side missions, but in the world design. In Jirga Para Lhao, the islands are layered on top of one another from the upper class to the lower class, just like Hexville's districts. Each layer has a different vibe from the previous one, from the background music, color schemes, and the people that inhabit the area. I may have spent a little too much time on photo mode. It's a neat little feature that also had a justified purpose in actual missions. I love how the devs added various poses for Cat. You can even add background props like a toilet, because why not? And Cat has so many cute costumes. I'm contented. The least interesting portions of the game for me were the places that had challenge tablets. Complete one of the requirements and the tablet shatters, allowing you to move on to the next one by following these red arm things. And don't get me started on the stealth and follow this NPC segments. I love it when games try to mix things up with quests by changing the gameplay. It's just, some things aren't meant for the game's engine. While I was far more invested in Gravity Rush 2's story and characters, the last half of the plot felt familiar. Familiar in a sense that I got lost in it, just like in the prequel. I mean, there was something about freezing time and clones and angels. I don't even know. That boss battle though was so Akira. Even with the cartoony look and the game's teen rating holding it back, it was still freaky. Just in case you didn't know, the team behind this game worked on 2 survival horror games in the past. Keiichiro Toyama, the director of both Gravity Rush games, is the creator of Silent Hill and Siren. So yeah, that explains the body horror madness. When the credits started rolling, I felt as confused as the first time I played GR1 because it had a similar abrupt ending. At least, that's what the game wanted me to think. After looking for this fire girl around Hexville, episode 21 is unlocked. And wow. Just when I thought the last half of the game was out of this world, episode 21 to 27 came out and turned out to be even more bizarre. On the bright side, I found the ending satisfying. It sent the series off on a good note while being open to a possibility of a sequel. As for Raven's DLC, it exists to tie a major loose end to GR1's plot. The DLC itself isn't a masterpiece, but you get to play as Raven, so that's a huge thumbs up from me. I can't help but feel like the story of it was supposed to be included in the main game though. Perhaps it was cut out due to development time, or maybe even costs, I don't know. Even though they released it, I think there could have been more to it, maybe in the same quality as the story quests in the base game. Especially since recovering Raven's memories meant walking over to random objects or glowing orbs and getting fragments of what happened. Though it's not the first time that Gravity Rush does this, I mean, it may have been a stylistic choice to place in the narrative, because they do similar stuff with Cat's Memories, and I think I'm reading a little too much into this. I'm not gonna complain more though, because it's pretty alright for free DLC. Maybe if they charged like $5 for it, then I would think otherwise. Oh, one more thing. Were the character portraits drawn by another artist? Seriously, they look off if you compare them to Raven's and practically everyone else in the DLC. With all that said and done, I really enjoyed Gravity Rush 2. More so than the original game, actually. It got rid of some of my issues with the first game. I'm not entirely sure how long it took me to play through this, because I spent a lot of time doing nothing in Jirga Para Lhao. What I do know is that the average playtime is more or less 30 hours. Let me know what you guys thought about Gravity Rush 2. I got way too preoccupied with Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil this past month, so that kinda delayed my production for Gravity Rush. I feel like I wouldn't be able to concentrate if I didn't finish those two. My next video will be on a AAA title once again. After that though, I'll go back to shoveling through my Steam backlog, maybe play some indies. So yeah, hope to see all of you in the next video.